Okay guys, we're going to talk about identity. We're going to talk about people being real and people being fake. Now I'm sure all of you here have come across certain people that maybe portray themselves in a certain way, and you know them on a level where you know how they portray themselves isn't the real them. Now, what's the dangers of this? Mahi, have you ever come across anyone like this?
There are quite a few people in today's day and age especially. What people try to do is impress. I think impressing people is their main goal. So the way they portray themselves across social media, let's say, is their sole purpose is to impress their followers. And the way they do that is by telling lies, saying, yeah, I went and picked up this Mercedes last night. Yeah, I went and bought this Gucci belt yesterday. But in reality, you yourself know that you didn't do that. The only reason you're saying you're doing that is because you're trying to please your followers. And like, yeah, that's you don't know your identity. That's not your identity. That's the identity you want your people to think you are. It's exactly what.
So where do you think they get this from? Why do you think so many people are trying to not be real to themselves, not even being themselves? They've lost themselves. They're living by an ego. So they're living by something that they've created in their head. They've made how they think they want to come across. Where do you think that people get it from?
So they may be looking up to celebrities, looking at celebrities as inspirations. All celebrities these days are rocking Gucci, Versace, all of these stuff, and they're just trying to implement that amongst themselves. So then they have a similar effect to their followers that the celebrities have on their followers. So it's just almost them trying to be someone else rather than themselves, and the way they're doing that is through materialistic things.
I think it's not even just like building on what Mahi was saying. There's definitely a culture on social media and everywhere, but mainly on social media, I'd say, of like trying to portray yourself as something that you're not. And it's a massive thing. And in fact, you have to almost like tell yourself not to do it because naturally you might end up doing it, right? And it's not just with materialistic things. I think materialistic things is a big thing. Like, you know, you might, like I know so many people that will maybe get in like a nice car like by chance, but then they'll like, social media about it or show it as if it's not, as if it's theirs, or like the way they might not even say it's theirs directly, but they'll insinuate like it's theirs. And I think so. What Mai's saying is 100% right. Like, I think lying is a big thing, man, and like trying to see people, and it doesn't benefit anybody, even yourself. But adding to that, there's also when people try and put out messages that is not really them either. Like, you might see someone put out a message like, "Oh, guys, you know, I feel really strongly about this." But and then sometimes like, oh, but do you? Because I know some people that I know in real life, and then I know their social media version, and it's like, it's crazy because it's like two completely different people, and I think it's a really big issue, man.
Yeah. Taking social media away from it for a second,
yeah.
I think just generally the amount of people I meet daily, I'm in a barbershop, I have so many different people coming in and out, I speak to loads of different people, and straight away, I can tell this person whether they are real or whether they are living in some sort of ego. Because the things they say, it's almost like their actions they do isn't even really true to themselves. So I get those people who sit down in the chair and start bragging about how many women that they spoke to or got with or whatever at the weekend, how much money they spent at the weekend, all this kind of stuff. Now, understand this, if you sit in a chair and the first thing you're saying, you're just building your ego up and you're trying to show off to that person, this is someone who, whether they do this or not, this is someone who's living a lie within themselves, because the reality is, if you're real and you're true to yourself, you don't need to try and tell everyone how great you are, what you've achieved, what you're doing. You be real, you be humble. Humbleness, and if you've got an ego, you have got no humbleness within you. And I find like, not that I judge these people, but after speaking to someone for 5 minutes, I can almost tell what they're about, what they're on. Are they being real, or are they literally just following the hype, trying to let everyone know that they're upon these things? But I see it actually day to day. I see it all the time, bro.
I feel it boils down a lot of the time. A lot of these people that are living this kind of fake alternate reality, it comes down to insecurities quite often. Like they feel as if like they're not significant enough, so they've got to they've got to like, you know, talk everything up that they do. I'm earning this much money. Guess what, I did this, you know. And it's, you know, they even know, they know themselves, but talking about it makes them feel good because they almost believe, they get caught up in their own reality. They kind of believe it at that moment. And it's usually the guys, you know, the ones you went to school with that over-exaggerate everything. You know, oh, my dad's got a scaffolding degree, no, he's got a screwdriver, that's it. Like, it's always that person because they feel like their accomplishments, wherever, aren't enough. It has to be more. Because they're not comfortable with where they're at or, you know, whatever their situation is. So it's always them talking it up and trying to make themselves feel better and make other people believe it because, you know, if other people believe it, maybe you'll start believing it yourself. I mean, that's how I think it comes across to me anyway, when I hear people doing that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a thin line. I think that there's a level of like, the way everybody wants to portray themselves is even me personally, the way I want to portray myself to everybody else is I want to portray the best version of me that I can portray. I don't think necessarily that is wrong, trying to portray yourself in the best light, but I think when you try and portray yourself in a light that is not actually true, that's when the line's been crossed. And I think naturally we do, because we want to naturally portray ourselves in the best light, we might try and exaggerate it. And so the way we're kind of talking as well, even just sat here in the barbershop, is we're almost talking like about them as if that is a group of people that is separate from us, but we can ourselves easily fall into it, 100%.
Absolutely.
And so I think the important thing is to check yourself often and be like, oh, have I just fallen into like a person? Why am I talking about this? Or am I talking too much about myself? Something that I know I've definitely had to check myself on. And I think secondly, it's important to have people around you who will check you and have humble people around you. Because if you have that, then they will tell you like, come on, why are you doing that? I think you need people like that. I've had people tell me like, why are you talking about that? Why are you doing that? And it's made me check myself.
I think ultimately where the problem lies is confidence. If you are not confident within yourself, you're not going to be yourself. So then you're going to try to portray yourself as something that you feel more confident with. So if I wanted myself to be portrayed as a rich man because that's how I feel comfortable, everything I do, all of my actions, everything I say is going to be something that a wealthy man would do. But me being myself, I just talk, the actions I do are within myself because I'm confident with myself. But yeah, the problem lies within confidence. If you're not confident with yourself, you're not going to be yourself. And that's where your identity is almost, it's disguised with materialistic things and things you say and things you portray yourself on social media and in every day in the real life.
But I think you do learn these lessons as you go, as you grow, as you go older. I myself feel like I went through a transition that I can physically remember of this period, and that was around the time of university when I would often think to myself naturally like, oh, I want to portray myself in this certain way. I want to show people that I'm this, brands, this, that, the other. And it wasn't until I met someone at university who I legitly, right, would go to a supermarket that's further away from where I live because it was seen as, right, like if you hold them supermarket bags, it was that bad. But there was a supermarket closer to my university that's seen as a budget supermarket. Yeah, like it's not really seen. And so I didn't want to be seen walking back to my halls with them carry bags. I used to genuinely walk past those supermarkets, go to that one just because I didn't. And it was only until I met someone at university who said to me, like, what are you doing? Like, it's more convenient, it's cheaper. Are you getting that? Like, why are you doing that? It makes no sense. Who cares what people think?
For sure.
And only then I started thinking, oh right, you're right. You know, who cares what people think? Like, and I realized that then I started shopping at the one that's more convenient and cheaper for me. I felt better about myself. I saved money anyway. I didn't have to trek further, and my relationship with anyone didn't change. No one started looking at me in a negative way. So I think maybe you have to go through a certain transition to remind yourself that.
Yeah, I think it stems from your own mind as well, doesn't it? It's not what other people lead you to thinking, oh, I need to do this, I need to portray this person, because, you know, people don't generally lead you there. It's your own mind, it's your own overthinking the situation that leads you there in the first place. So
100%.
yeah, I get you.
I think we live in a society where there's so much pressure on us from a young age to perform and to achieve and to obtain as much as we can. I remember having a conversation with myself when I was young. I wanted to be successful, I wanted to earn good money, I wanted to build an empire. I remember thinking, do you know what, I'm living in a world where it's dog eat dog, and I was seeing the people around me who were successful did have an arrogance to them and a confidence to them. So I thought, you know, anyway I'm going to survive and do this well, I need to sort of build myself some armour, which actually turned out to be an ego. So I put this armour in front of me, which wasn't me, in the sense of I was rude, I was arrogant, I wasn't humble, I didn't even have much not to be humble about. But I remember I literally I called it armour at the time, thinking, put this up, this is how I'm going to survive. And I did X amount of years with this attitude, and to be honest, I lost myself completely within this. So I lost who I was, I lost the real me, and I was suddenly building myself up to something which I thought was what I wanted to be. It turns out it was the last thing I wanted to be. And then I really checked myself and thought, wow, I'm not necessarily living a lie, but I've got, where's this arrogance come from? Where's this ego come from? I thought I was better than some people. And through studying and getting guidance, I realized I really found my true self. And it wasn't miles different from what I was trying to be, it just didn't have the ego. So I was real, I could be humble. I knew that I wasn't better than anyone. Even if I've got my job and my position, it does not mean I'm better than someone who washes dishes in a restaurant or cleans up the streets and the bins. No difference, we're totally even. I have just, some people have maybe some more in the worldly items than other people. Some people might have more, whether it's more family or more, whatever it is, success is measured in different ways. So really, I found myself, I was lost, completely lost, hidden behind an ego, breaking through that. I remember I broke through my ego and I bought a new skateboard, because when I was young, I used to skateboard. And one of the reasons I stopped skateboarding is because I thought, do you know what, I don't want to be associated with the skateboarding lot. I want to be a bit cooler. I want to listen to So Solid Crew and put a slit in my eyebrow. So I allowed the skateboard and put it to one side. Even though I actually quite like skateboarding, I thought, you know what, that culture isn't cool no more. So when I broke through this whole ego and really found myself, I brought a skateboard again. And as a big man, I went to a skate park. I was terrible. But I was going up and down ramps. And do you know what? I didn't care, because you know what? I actually felt like I was finding myself again. All these little things I started introducing back into my life, and just finding that humbleness and understanding that I am not better than no one. We are all even. And it was a very beautiful, very refreshing feeling. Very refreshing feeling.
Yeah. Speaking about what you were saying about kind of choosing to change your your culture to fit in with what's cool, is really interesting. And I don't know, I want to pose something. I would love to get your guys' opinion on it. I personally think that although they both boil down to the same thing, I think there's two types of that I've seen that are popular right now, of ways of losing your identity and trying to be someone you're not. And I think one of them is trying to portray yourself to have more worldly good than you do, which is what we've spoken about, like having more money or having more materialistic, having more cars. But I think another one, and I think people don't talk about this enough, is that there's this thing where people try and portray themselves to have a background that they don't have. Specifically, a lot of people who are not from the streets will try and say that and try and act like they're from the streets. Like, I'm not saying this from because I'm not from the streets, but I know a lot of people who are like me, and I used to be like this as well. And you're, even by the conversation you're having with me, by trying to portray yourself in a certain way with a slit in the eyebrows. There's definitely a culture that's associated to, is what I'm saying. And I think I know people like myself who have got the same background as myself, come from a loving family, I'm not saying the people from the streets don't, but I'm saying that there's definitely a culture where there's been a rougher upbringing in certain neighborhoods, in certain parts of where we're from, or with certain cultures there's been rougher upbringings, and maybe in other cultures that rougher upbringing hasn't happened, but when you get older you want to portray yourself like, oh, I have had a rough upbringing.
Yeah, for sure.
Like there's some kind of, I know brothers that will tell you that have legitimately come from the streets, legitimately come from rough upbringings, and they will tell you there's nothing cool, there's nothing to envy about having a rough upbringing, coming from the streets, having to grind like from the beginning. It's a struggle, and I'll do anything I could to not have come from this. So why is it seen as something that's like cool? Stop trying to act like that's where you came from when it's not. And I think a lot of it might be to do with what's in popular culture now, like hip hop, like you were saying, like hip hop industry and stuff. You were saying the So Solid Crew and that kind of stuff. I think now, if you see like rappers and people who are in the mainstream celebs are mainly hip hop, R&B, culture, mainstream celebrities who have got a lot of wealth, who have got a lot of materialistic things, and so the part of us that wants to show that we've got a lot of materialistic stuff comes from that part, but then they will also, the same people will also admit that they came from rough upbringings. So we want to try and be like, oh, I came from rough upbringings. Do you guys think that that's a big problem as well?
100%. I would say more so now as I'm a bit older and I interview people for jobs, etc. People come in with they want to be this hashtag road life. I went to some young man from the same area as me, really young guy, got into doing all sorts of stupid stuff from a loving background. I went on his Instagram one day and I see hashtag roadman. And I'm thinking, this is literally the state of like the youth now. Everyone.
I used to be like that.
I swear, people used to be that, but now it's more so. Like everyone, all these schoolboys leaving school,
it's true,
all
man.
flexing Nike Air Max 95. So the uniform is stronger now. So all the posh boys from nice areas, they all think they're on this roadman thing. And the reality is, not that I'm not from that street, I'm not from that road life either. But the reality is, if they experienced road life, they would crumble and they would cry and they'd go home to their mums and give them a cuddle. But this is the thing that's cool now. And if you're not a bad boy and you're not doing this, that and the other and acting like you're not cool, this is what I noticed recently in young society. I think it's scary because I think it's getting worse. From when I was young, there was still a big mix of different cultures and different styles and different scenes. Now it seems like it's all kind of molded into one. Everyone goes out on a big night out. They all listen to the same rubbish. They're all drinking the same thing, smoking the same thing, wearing the same thing, posting about the same thing. It's like it's brainwashed by the music they listen to and the culture they follow. And to be honest, people think it's cool, but when you really know real life and reality, what they're upon is just a waste of time, and there's nothing cool about it. It's nonsense.
Okay, so what do we think then is the solution to not having people try and portray themselves in a... Basically, what is the solution to basically saying, guys, be yourself?
Be real.
Literally, the two words, be yourself. What is the solution to that? I think potentially having a solution would be to have role models who push that, have people that are mainstream.
100%.
What do you guys think?
Surrounding yourself with people on the same mission. Surrounding yourself with people that have similar hobbies, similar ideas as you, think on the same wavelength as you. If you surround yourself with people that want to be successful like you will be like them. You are who you chill with, basically. So and you are who you look up to. So if I look up to a celebrity that's got a Versace ring or loads of materialistic stuff, then I'm gonna go and get that. But if I surround myself with someone that's much more humble and appreciates everything they have, then I'm gonna turn out to be like that.
I think, as Sam said, when it's getting more prominent, I think the thing is that a lot of the music culture that comes from London is now getting bigger elsewhere, and there are people that they listen to this music and they idolise these artists, and that's all they listen to. They come home from school or whatever, they listen to this artist, and when you look up to someone, you start, you automatically, especially when you're a bit younger, you start trying to be a bit like them. And I think because if you're not from that sort of background, and you're doing that, that's where it comes from. I don't necessarily think that's their fault. I think that's just a natural human result of doing that. But as Mahi said again as well, being around people that can keep you grounded and make you know where you came from, and make you keep it sort of real, then it shouldn't be too much of a problem. But it's when you've got too much of one and not enough of the other that you get this kind of alternate idea of who you are, and you start believing that, and then you start having slits in your eyebrows and listening to So Solid and all of that stuff.
Really picking on Sam.
Yeah, no.
We've all got a background, but yeah, you're right.
Absolutely.
I mean, we can't necessarily, and you know what, I'm not speaking like I'm better than anyone, the youth or people, nothing, but I feel like from my experiences and the fact that I can be honest enough to tell the people, look, I used to be fake. I used to have an ego. I used to run my life by an ego, and now I can actually say that with confidence. Now I'm not. Now I really, really know myself. I have done for like four or so years. But before that, I was mixed up in lies. How I treated people, how I treated my parents. Everything was all blurred. I was I was misguided, very, very much misguided. And my role models were the wrong people, because really, what we see, like we always say, the people up in society, the people who are doing the music industry, they're promoting selling drugs, taking drugs, multiple girlfriends, all this kind of stuff. Some people might think, no, that's cool. It's not cool. You live it, and you won't find no peace. You will find no peace within inside yourself. And to be fair, if you're living your life with an ego, you're not going to find any peace within that either. So what I like to do is promote being real. So if I've got young people around me, I'll tell them how it is. I'll tell them exactly what I've been through, why, what's cool, what I think is cool, what I know is not cool. People are shocked when I say, no, I don't listen to all that nonsense, that music, because you know what? It's full of evils, and people can't always see it. People can't, especially when you're young. I think you have to sort of live life a little bit, get some life experience, and then you start waking up a little bit. Some people don't wake up though. Some people I know people who are 40 years old who are out upon that same kind of nonsense, selling drugs. And then sometimes I see these people, they don't even need to sell drugs, but you know what? It comes with being cool. If you've got you go into some restaurants, you see some don with their iPhones there, and they've got a little throwaway phone next to it. It's cool. Have your phones out. Let people know, no, I do this thing, bruv. I shot drugs. I'm gonna put it out. See, so many people promoting, trying to be this gangster, trying to be this road life thing. And these people aren't even. I know someone who does not need to do what he does, but he does it because it comes with the whole image he's trying to portray. He wants to be looked at a certain way. But you know what? If you're real, you can look at these people and realise they're fake. And I'm not saying like I'm better than these people. I'm just saying, just be yourself. That was the round it off. Let's just try and be ourselves. Let's try and promote being real. Try and being humble. No arrogance, no ego. Really check ourselves. Check our intentions with everything we do.
Be confident with your identity.
For sure.
Be confident with who you are.
Because you know what? We're all created. Everyone is different. And if everyone's trying to be the same, it's boring. But if everyone's being the individual and unique, it's interesting. So we'll wrap it up there. Thank you so much.
Bum, 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 bum.